Hello everyone, welcome to back Leave Touch. Alright everyone, we're got a major development in the ongoing story involving Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Yesterday we have discussed how the Department of Justice finally released three previous hidden interviews with a woman's how accused Trump in assaulting her alongside Epstein when she was only a teenagers between the age of 13 and 15. These interviews were never part of the English abstain files that were released to the public, and the interview were never part of the original abstain files that were released to the public. In fact, it took investigative journalists digging deeply into the case to even discover that these interviews existed. Eventually, these pressures become strong, and for the dogs to ignore, there are very legals required to release the documents. And after a lot of security, they finally did not. And the details inside those interviews are extremely distributing. But no, we have learned another credentials piece of information. According to source, the FBI considered the accusers to be credible. For year Trump and many of the supporters have instead the accusations against him related to abstain were completely baseless. The repeatedly claimed was no evidence and no credible witness. However, the FBI during Trump on presidency reviewed the woman's statements and determined that the claimed were credible. They alone raise serious questions, and there's even more to the story that we shall discuss today, including growing political pressure on Attorney General Bondi and the possibilities of investigations into her handling of the abstain files. But let break down what has been revealed. The information come from reporting by the Miami Herald and specifically journalist Julius K. Bronze. If that name sounds familiar, it because she was one of the reporters in those investigations played a major role in exposing Epstein years ago. And according to the report, a dog's source told the Miami Herald that federal against believes the woman was telling the truth. The source also noticed that investigators would never have interviewed the multiple times if they believed she was fabricating the story. Only one of these interviews had been released earlier, and even that version was heavily redacted, and it removed key details and did not even maintain the Donald Trump named deposit of the fact that they showed him directly. And the additional interviews that were recently and released to include reference to Trump at some point. However, the woman closed not to continue cooperating with investigation. According to the source, authorities it eventually lost contact with her. The document themselves for that explanation during one interview. Investigation asked if she was comfortable sharing for more details and about her interactions with Trump. She questions what the purpose would be at this point in her life, especially if there was little chance that any legal actions could still happen. And eventually, she decided not to be forward. Throughout the interview, she appeared hesitant to speak about Donald Trump. Specifically, one possible reason could not be fears of relations. Remember, these interviews took place in 2000. 19th, while Trump was still president of the United States, he was fully aware of his powers and influence at the time. Many people have seen what can happen when individuals publicly criticized Trump or becomes target of this political movement, and it also important to remember that the FBI conducting this investigation was operating under Trump own administration. Yet, even within the environment, agent still calculated that her account was credible, and despite that, many Trump supporters continue to discuss the accusation entry point that many transporters continue to dismiss the associations until but the details in the interview are deeply troubling. In one counts, the woman side abstained brought her for the island when she was still a young Tangles, and she said she was taken either to New York or New Jersey. There she was introduced to a wealthy man. She later identified as Donald Trump. She describes being inside a very large building with enormous rooms where several people were present along with Epstein files and Trump's. At one point, Trump reported asked everyone else to leave the room. According to her statement, Trump made distributing comments suggesting what touch how girls and supposed to behave, and she described an encounters that quickly become frightening. She said she roasted him and eventually beat him because she was disgusted and wanted to escape the situation. She claimed Trump acted angrily and ordered that she be removed from the rooms. The woman also told investigations that she sensed tension between Trump and Epstein, describing a kind of rivalry or jealousy between the two men. She further claimed that both men sometimes used regarding terms when referring to the young girl's face that she remembers clearly because they distributed her. Another shocking details for the interviews involved in Epstein openly discussing blackmails. According to the woman, Epstein talking about have cooperation information on the powerful individual. She also said the belief Trump was aware of this conversation because she personally mm, heard them speaking about it, and that contradicts the repeated claims from people close to Trump, how insist there was no blackmail operations and no hidden networks of powerful individual connected to obtain documents released over the years have suggested otherwise, and against investigators considered this woman testimony credible. In the interview her multiple times, no attention is shifting toward how the government handles this while Attorney General Palm Bondi is facing growing criticism over the way the abstained documents were released. The backlash is not one coming from Democrats. Some duplications are also expressing frustration. Report from Tico suggested that Pambondi has been under increasing pressure for a member of Congress over concern that the release in information has been delayed or mishandled. Some lawmakers believe the public deserves the full transparency regarding the abstained investigations. There are very discussed among some publications. Some publication about possible consequences if the believes the Justice Department with held important information. Several and members of Congress have already supported effort to Poina Bondi's testimony is so Lamar can questions her directly, and meanwhile, some House Democrats have taken things a step further in by introducing articles of impeachment against her representatives. Sari Thunders recently find multiple impeachment articles causing bodies of mishandling the abstain case and filing to provide proper transparency at the center of all this in the same key points of the in the same key point the allegations we just discussed come from an interviews that federal investigation themselves considered credible, and those investigations were point of part of the FBI during Donald Trump presidency. That is a fact cannot easily ignored as more document continues to surface. This story may only grow because let me know what you think about this development in the comment below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to story updated as new informations come out, and if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video as well. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next update.